Hi, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr, and I am so excited. I am joined today by Sophie Mason, who is a mentor, speaker, event host, essentially a podcast host as well, I believe, as well. Is that right? Yep.
Yeah.
And essentially a bit of a badass. We've just been having like the most incredible conversation offline before we started about her journey. And I am so excited to dive into today's episode. I think there will be so many people that will get so much value, probably more so than you realize, because already I've started connecting the dots with some of the stuff we've already said already. But I just can't wait to get into it. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited to chat to you, dive into everything, and just, see where this conversation takes us.
Yay. So for anybody who isn't familiar with you, would you mind just kind of doing a bit of a like intro into what you do now, but also, your journey to where you are right now as well?
So, right now, I'm a business mentor and I host retreats, large conferences globally for beauty professionals, mostly. And I started as a beauty therapist, to be honest with you. I started there when I was 14 in my cousin's salon and just kind of worked my way up the ranks. We did loads of crazy things. I was actually talking about it with Poppy the other day, um, about trade shows we did working in Harrods. Oh, we did so many crazy things. We'll
Oh my
probably
God,
die.
Harrods is down the road from me. I go there for the cupcakes all the time. Like literally, when I was pregnant, I was like, security are just going to start turning me away. Like it's too much.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, it was a wild ride. And then I basically stayed there until I was like 28, so for 14 years, and then left to go traveling. Was Had every intention of going back to the salon, literally, because I worked for my cousins. I left her. I was like, I'm coming back. It's just going to be 4 months. I just need to go and get this out of my system. And then I was like swinging in a hammock in Belize, like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think I
maybe
want
I'm
to.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think I want to go back. And Chris had been saying to me, my partner had been saying to me the whole holiday, don't go back, set up your own thing, you'll be absolutely fine. Me thinking, oh no, I'm not ready. No, not even not I'm not ready. I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Something I'm working on, but I am a people pleaser, so I didn't want to upset anyone, especially family. It all gets a little bit
Yeah. And you get
just
like so grateful for the opportunity and everything that there's all this like weight of expectation of like needing to pay them back, essentially, I imagine.
absolutely. And I knew her plan for me. I knew that she was hoping to step back and was hoping that I would take a more upfront role in the salon and stuff. So yeah, you just know that you're scuppering someone's plans, their
Oh
life.
wow, no pressure. Like oh bless you. So what did you do? Like what did you set up next?
So I when we came home, I decided that I was going to go into beauty. I was doing beauty, but I was going to have my own beauty business, but it wasn't going to be a salon
Mm.
because having the kind of back end view of what a salon was, seeing how it had been for her, I was like, that's not what I want. I've come for freedom. That's what
Yeah.
I've been chasing all this time. So I built up a mobile business, which then turned into an Uber style business for beauty in our area. In 6 months, fully booked, 4 girls working for me.
Oh my
Um,
God,
yeah,
amazing.
it was
Yeah.
incredible. It was really incredible. And then I was going to get an app built, doing all of that stuff, and then COVID hit.
Oh wow. I literally got chills when you said that because again, I think like obviously we mentioned beforehand that I had a beauty salon and again I had such big ambitions for what that was going to be and like the intentions and obviously I've always had this element of female empowerment running through everything I did and I'd started to host events in the salon and everything else, but I truly believe that everything happens for a reason and sometimes when you're going almost like too far down a track, like the universe loves to like almost pick you up, put you back on the path and be like, no, this is what you're meant to do.
And do you know what? There is nothing truer than that, because aside from the time traveling, which you're not in work mode at all. You're just having fun, basically.
Yeah.
I'd worked since I was like 13 or 14, and I idolized my cousin. So it was all my holidays, all my weekends, I was spent working. So it was kind of like all that I knew. And then when COVID hit, it was like nothing,
Yeah.
just time, space to actually think about what is it that I really, really want out of life. And as amazing as the Uber idea is, and I know that people are doing, and it is an amazing idea, suddenly I felt how constrictive it was, because I was going to be multiplying the clients and the stress and everything that comes with that. um
It's a hard business model to scale, isn't it? I had an app that I use, obviously, because I've got the kids at home and everything. I use an app for like even just my spray tan. Like this poor woman had to see me before LA. Like, I'm so sorry. There's a lot going on in all areas right now. I've got 5 kids, and bless her. And I literally just got a message from them the other day saying, like, you know, despite our best efforts to scale this business, like it's no longer financially viable. So they've just had to shut it down, which is super sad. So it may be that your idea didn't necessarily have the longevity or the scalability that you wanted, and maybe that's why you didn't feel aligned to it anymore.
Definitely, definitely. It was 100% that's what it was. And I think I ran an online business without any online presence. Like the whole thing was done a bit on Facebook, but I didn't use Instagram or anything like that. And I just threw myself into building community and working out what the digital world was, to be honest with you. I didn't know who Boss Babe were that we were just talking about. I didn't even know who Tony Robbins was.
Oh,
Like that's I know.
that's so
Like
interesting. I'm like,
I know.
what, the OG himself, the goat?
How dare you? I mean, I'd heard his name like thrown
Yeah,
around a few times. I knew a few people that were like into herbal life and things like that, and that's kind of network marketing is all.
yeah,
I wouldn't have been able to put a face to a name. I wouldn't be able to tell you what he did or anything like that. I think I had like 400 people on Instagram, and I just didn't know
yeah.
anything about it.
That's so interesting because again, so much synergy. I had the same thing as you in that my businesses were like 7 days a week, like barbershop, like 8 in the morning till 8 at night, like all the things. And I just got into that identity of being busy, hustling, like at all the places, all the things. And then COVID hit, and I'd already started like my coaching business, but offline, because again, like Instagram wasn't that much of a thing. Like we had one for the salon on like boomerangs was exciting, you know, like we were still at
Yeah.
that point. And then and everything and my coaching business be done offline, and I was kind of like finding my way. And then I was like, all that time of stillness and reflection, it was like, actually, the thought of scaling that business, and it's probably that inner knowing that you're meant for more, I think, on a bigger scale, and to be here ultimately to do more than just tick along and make money. I think that drove me then to say, no, I think I need to start like scaling back those businesses and really going all in on this one. So it's just, I'd love to know like how many women had the same realizations during
Oh,
that time.
so many, so many. I have the same conversation with a lot of people in the beauty world, particularly, just that were, like you just said, you wear your busy hat and you wear it with pride. And I think for me, it was almost a shield as well, because I was always so busy. Even in my downtime, I was exhausted from being with people. She didn't
Yeah.
want to see anyone. I just wanted to be at home with Chris,
Yeah,
probably
because you're
watching.
having to be on all the time, aren't
Yeah,
you? When
yeah,
you're offering services. What's your
yeah.
human design type, Sophie? Do you know?
I'm a generator. That,
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Amazing. So
yeah.
very much like obviously when you're in flow, when you're vibing, like off and you're loving what you're doing, like you can just keep going and going and going. And that's both a blessing and a curse sometimes, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's funny, I was having this conversation with my coach this morning. So we were talking about a few things, and I was like, I just love working. And I do love working. And he's like, that's because, and that he was like, but I felt bad for it. He's like, but that's fine. If you love working, that's absolutely fine. But you do need to find some kind of
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah, or just making sure that you're really in alignment with what it is that you're doing. So
Yeah.
you're putting your energy in like the best things that really light you up, and the other things not so much. Like delegate, automate, eliminate. 100%, yeah. Because I think the thing is, like, obviously I just primed her beforehand that I'm super spiritual, but I believe that we have all the different elements of human design because it's all about the collective and what we bring to like the bigger community in the world. So the fact that you've got, like, I'm a manifesting generator, so it's kind of the same principle in that I am literally like jack of all trades. Like, I've got hundreds of businesses, hundreds of things, hundreds of kids, chair of the PTA, like do all of the things. And it's like I can do all of those things as long as I'm like enjoying it. If I'm, as soon as I'm not, it is literally like stroppy teenager, like I hate my life, like I just can't do it. and I used to think like, oh my god, I'm doing it wrong. Like, I've just, obviously I haven't got the longevity. I'm obviously like I've also got ADHD, by the way, as well, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs have. I've realized again.
So many. I mean,
Yeah,
I haven't, but it is a common thing that I am really seeing recently is some like the real people that we look up to. Yeah,
yeah.
I've got ADHD. I'm like, wow, that's really interesting.
And it's
Really,
like, rather than seeing it like a curse, it's a blessing, because it's like
yeah,
we are the ones that are going to continually have that vision and
yeah.
bring those ideas to the table and get things off the ground. And then it's for like other people in the collective to kind of, just like do the
Yeah,
thing, you know.
to do
Yeah.
the
And
things.
that's okay. Like, we've all got our strengths.
But I think that that's the owner of a business or the founder of a business, is you are a visionary, and I think
Yeah,
you are a visionary before everything else. There'll be things that you are good at, that you're capable of, that you excel in, but I think that ultimately your place is overseeing, looking at everything and being creative and letting and getting in the people that are better than you, that can do the things that you, because otherwise all you end up is on a constant creation wheel, don't you?
yeah,
Idea after idea after idea and minimal implementation, because everything
that's
else
it.
is a bit boring.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where I go. Like, I know where my strengths are. It's that leader role, isn't it? And that's what I was really interested to speak to you about, because obviously, even with what I thought was quite an entrepreneurial brain myself, I couldn't have even envisaged what you have created during that lockdown. So do you want to kind of explain where you then took your business from there?
Yeah, so throughout the lockdown, focused on building community, Instagram, all of that. Went all in on meeting people, chat. I probably reached out to people I had no business like reaching out to, just like, hi.
How you doing? What a
Yeah,
great time to get them though, because everybody's at home.
that's it. I said to Poppy this morning about something. I was like, I'll reach out to them. I've got no shame, because they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
no's a no.
yeah.
So I was building courses, things like that, that were relative to the to lash artists and stuff. And then I got quite into visualization, which again wasn't something that I even had thought about. And I laugh now because I sound like those people, when you listen at the start of your journey and you're like, they're saying you should meditate, and you think, what?
Oh
No,
yeah, radio. Yeah,
how's that going to
yeah,
get me anywhere?
yeah.
And then I kept on seeing myself on a stage, and I hadn't ever thought about doing events. It was just crazy. And then in the second lockdown, the second big lockdown, I just said to Chris, I'm just going to host a big event. I'm going to get people in that I've connected with, that I've made friends with, and I'm just going to put this on for people, because what people are going to need is human connection when this is all over.
I love how you've just like glossed over that though. Can I just say like how amazing that is, by the way, that you are just so, one of your values obviously must be connection, because that industry, like, we're not talking about an industry that is usually known for collaboration. Like, I remember literally walking into beauty salons when I opened my hair extensions place. They didn't even do hair extensions. There was no competition, but they would literally like hiss at me, and I'd be like, oh, okay then. Like, because I didn't grow, like, I'm not a beauty professional. We were just joking about how I obviously glued my apprentice's eyelashes shut when I tried to think I could do lash artistry. And but I obviously like learned a few little treatments and stuff because I needed to know like the thought process behind. But there was not a lot of collaboration with any of those girls. Like, I quite naively went into the business thinking, but we're all just women supporting women, right? And they were like, fuck off, bitch. Like, no, like, there was such a scarcity around like if like you might take my clients, and all of these things. And I was like, that's such a shame. Like I remember just thinking that's such a shame that we can't all just help each other, because it's hard enough to make money anyway. So the fact that you have been able to cultivate that community from an industry that isn't typically known for community is amazing.
I think that the lash industry in particular coincided with the rise of Instagram.
Yeah.
And I think that the two of them they've just skyrocketed together. And don't get me wrong, I can remember when I was working in Salon, and a local salon to us wouldn't even train their girls with the glue that they used in their salon on their clients. They would give them essentially what they thought was a crap one.
Mm.
It was like, just no, we guard our secrets.
Oh,
Um, yeah. It was like, it's crazy, just eyelash glue, like it's
yeah.
fine. We probably
Yeah. You can Google that stuff. Like
yeah,
people will recommend, like,
that's
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But I think, and maybe it was lockdown, maybe that's just because when I really threw myself into it. But yeah, there is something special about the lash industry in particular. It is very collaborative. There is still issues, competition, and all of that. But I think with the rise of Instagram and just realizing how everyone can use each other to kind of boost and get
Yeah.
themselves up to the top, I think that that's also really really helped my situation. And like I've always been the person that's like friends with everyone. Like at school I was just friends with everyone, like I just said to you, like, oh, I'll reach out to anyone. Like I'm completely unfazed by people's statuses, where like I'll just talk to
Yeah.
anyone.
That's the
um
best way to be, though. I think when we start putting people on pedestals, it's an impossible benchmark to live up to. So I remember, obviously you didn't come to LA this time, but there was a lot of women that were still very just there was like a few little niggles and things with people, and I was thinking just kept saying, like, we're all fundamentally flawed humans that are just trying to do the best we can with what we've got available. Like as soon as you accept that about people, there is no separation. Like we're all the same, we're all just doing our best, trying to do our thing. Like no one's right or wrong, no one's better or worse. It's just like we're all just here like to support each other. I think that really helps.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think I'm where the event, so obviously then I went to host the event, which started in Birmingham. We then grew it to London and Toronto. It's grown really quickly. And
How
I'm
did that happen, by the way? Oh, just Birmingham, London, Toronto. Like that's a completely different animal, isn't it? Obviously, like for me at the time, I think lash artistry, as it is like the creative element and the like, wow, next level, like Instagrammable things, it did kind of originate over in the States, didn't it?
yeah, so we did it in Birmingham in the November of 2021. We then hosted it in May 2022, and then Toronto in the September of last year. And again, just me landing into people's inboxes that I probably had no business being in. Some huge brands in Canada, and them just saying, yep, we'll come over. There's nothing like this in Canada. And then that just gets the brain ticking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then they came over, I was speaking to them and just said, shall I do it? Like, will you be there? Will you support it? They were like, absolutely, whatever you need. So I was like, right, okay, I'll do it in September.
Oh my God, I love this. I love that. You must be an absolute superhuman, because that is a lot of energy, space, creativity, like to hold, to keep going. Like then, yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I don't have children or anything like that. So my full focus is on my business at the moment. So that definitely makes things a little bit easier. But yeah, my attitude is, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see
Yeah,
how hard can it be.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, with running the events, I think once you've done one and you've got built the
The rhythm
connection
with it.
and the
Yeah,
rhythm with it, it's kind of just a copy and paste. She says, however, I am doing Dallas this year in Texas, and the three events at the moment with where I'm at are enough.
yeah.
I
So are
haven't
you
got
doing the same thing again, like another Birmingham, London,
so
Toronto?
we
Yeah,
yeah, so we're not doing Birmingham. We've just done our London one, which was 2 weeks ago on Saturday. So we've just done that one. That one was incredible. And then we've got Dallas in July and Toronto in September again.
My God, that's incredible. Do you know what I just loved as well? What you said before, which I think is the thing that people need in order to be sustainable in business is just removing all sense of ego and approaching your business with a sense of curiosity. Like, what, let's just give it a go. What's the worst that's going to happen? A lot of the time, women struggle to even make the first move because they're worried about failure and what people will think and the expectations. And it's like, actually, if you just treat it like a big science experiment, like, well, even if it doesn't work out how I thought, I'm going to learn something. Like, this is going to be amazing. I'm still going to lead on to something else. And it's like, we just got to give ourselves permission to have a go.
Definitely. And that's what my coach always says to me. I mean, he's a guy, so he says it in a very manly way, but he's like, everything you do is data. He's like, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just data. So there's no success, there's no failure, it's just data. And I'm like, yes, it's
Yeah.
just data. And I think then you take the emotion out of it, don't you? It's like, okay, well, let's just see,
Yeah.
because I'll get the numbers at the end of it, or the feedback, and then I'll know whether to do that next time or what to do differently or what people loved. You've just got to give it a go.
Yeah,
And
that's it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think as well, something which I preach quite a lot is moving quickly and taking risks, not massive risks that are going to plow you into the depths of despair, but I think you do have to be willing to take a few risks as well along the journey to
I
get
just
there.
had a real Del Boy moment then when he's like something like like he who dares wins. But it's so true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like no successful entrepreneur, even Richard Branson, like God, probably the amount of failures that he's had. Even I just saw yesterday about his space thing has filed for bankruptcy.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, so it's like, but I'm sure he's not at home crying about it. I'm sure that you'll see him soon on Necker Island. I have no doubt that's in your plans. But it's just yeah, like at least he did it. Like, what an incredible ride, what an incredible moment. And yeah, I think that was something that I really had to cultivate in myself when I walked away from certain businesses, particularly when they're successful. So, like
Yeah.
you had before, where it was like, actually, it was pretty successful, but there was just something missing for me. It's understanding that it's okay to like move on to new chapters. Like, there's always more time. Um, so obviously, how do you make them like bigger and better? Like, how do you keep the, especially as a generator, where it's like it's got to continue to light your fire in order for it to still, like light you up essentially. Otherwise, you would get drained by it and you wouldn't want to do it.
Definitely, definitely. And you know what? That's honestly something that I'm definitely navigating at the moment, because people's expectations grow each year. And I think as much as my landing into people's DMs and just asking people, I kind of you have to manage giving them everything at once,
Yeah,
so that you aren't so you've got things saved up for next year, because it's really easy. Yeah, I'll go and put on all the massive names in the industry and you're like, wow, this is the most incredible thing ever, and then like next year you're like, okay,
yeah.
where do I go with this?
Do I go from here? Although I actually think it's like, obviously I'm a money mindset coach, and a lot of that is around like the energy of money and creating space for abundance. So I almost feel like if it's in your heart right now, like get it all out, because it's just going to create more space. Next year will be like next level. You'll be like, do you follow Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be like this big stadium tour next year, I imagine.
Yeah,
It'll be like
definitely.
Comic-Con for
I said
lashes.
I saw because obviously in America, like conferences are huge, they're over the top,
Yeah.
like they just go crazy. And there's this semi-permanent makeup conference that's happening in Miami. And it popped up on something. I don't follow them, but it popped up. And I was watching all their videos and I was like, this looks epic. And I sent Poppy, I was like, this next year. She was like, okay.
So, so Poppy. So obviously, like I've said, like we've had a couple of chats in the DM, so therefore we're friends. Like now,
Yeah,
like you find that on
yes,
Instagram,
please.
don't you? So is this so the events element, is that a joint venture with her?
No, so that's completely my thing. So I started the event. I started selling tickets in May of 2021. And then I started working with Poppy in July 2021. Decided that I needed a mentor. Like, I had all these ideas, things that I wanted to do, just needed help on implementing them. And Poppy's run lots of events. Actually found her in the Boss Babe Society. Like, I think I don't know if you're inside of it, but
Yeah,
everyone seems to find
you'll
everyone.
find me in there somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was like the first of its kind, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, and even, yeah, even when I went back to my salon days, I still used the hashtag, like hashtag boss babe, like, oh, that they were like the pioneers. And I
Yeah.
actually said that to Danielle when I met her last year in LA. I was like, you literally like paved the way for all of us sitting here, really, because there was no community, there was no pride in being an entrepreneur. It was like almost like, well, it's like almost like there's something wrong with you if you couldn't make it in corporate. It's like there was such a stigma. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, so,
Definitely. And I
oh,
think for me with Danielle as well, like I had a similar conversation with her, and but for me it was her being a service provider,
yeah,
because I, like we said offline, like I was always chasing like this freedom,
yeah,
but I didn't know how to create that as a very much in person, have to be with the client to make money. I
yeah.
was just, and like I said before, I wasn't really in the online world, and I just didn't know how to create that freedom. So for me, again, seeing her, I was like, okay, I relate completely to you, and if you can do it, then I absolutely know that I can do this as well.
Wow, she must be so proud because that's part of her legacy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just them kind of
absolutely.
creating something and like you say, like supporting others to do the same has completely changed your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't have found Poppy. I wouldn't be in the situation I am at all. I would probably still be
Oh no, I have no doubt you would have done. You would have just found your way in a different way.
a different way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you've absolutely got it about you. Like you can see the people that have and the people that haven't. So you absolutely have. But it's lovely, like a full circle moment that you're obviously now working with her closer as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's yeah, it's funny. And I saw when she was in LA last year with you guys, I was like, oh, I wish that I was there.
Yeah. So you obviously felt that pull then. So
Yeah,
you're obviously very
yeah,
intuitively led. So
yeah,
a bit of a misconception about business and a really successful businesswoman is like you need the balance of the masculine and the feminine energy. And where we think like we need the masculine to just get shit done and just be super productive, it's like the feminine is like the creative element, the collaboration element. And you're obviously very much in your feminine and very, I guess, very well connected to your intuition, which is where you're making these decisions from. It shouldn't make sense, but to me, I've got this knowing, so I'm just going to follow it anyway. Fuck it. Like that's so powerful.
Do you know what? That's actually giving me chills, because I would say, yeah, I'm in my masculine. I think that there's this thing, isn't there, that being in your feminine, being a female, it's messy and we're hormonal, and it is, I know that it's not about that, but I think that when people talk about feminine and masculine, you almost go to that kind of place, or being a woman is wrong, being
Yeah.
feminine is wrong.
Yeah,
um,
it's being submissive and being weak and tearful and emotional and yeah.
Definitely, where it isn't about that. And I've actually never seen those points of me as being feminine. So that's a bit of a light bulb moment. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. Because I was thinking people like Richard Branson must be very much in his feminine energy because it is that collaboration, that resourcefulness, creativity, like thinking outside the box, like all of those things, that's feminine energy.
Yeah,
So I love that you're like intuitively led in that way because it's really created something magical. Like you've thought so much bigger than what most people practically would and just brought something truly unique to the marketplace. So where does Poppy come in? Because I love that collaboration as well, that you've got that like support team because she kind of does what you do, but am I right for hair professionals or beauty professionals?
so her background is makeup
All right.
artistry.
Yeah.
So she attracted beauty, but hers was more service provider. She's had a marketing agency, she's done lots of different bits and pieces. So we worked together for about a year, and then we were just really good friends, really. And because I'm beauty, she's beauty, it kind of was just a bit of a natural progression. We were both building these masterminds, but the similar audiences selling the similar thing. We decided we were going to host a retreat together. And then we were like, should we do a podcast? And then we were like, what are we doing? We might as well just host the mastermind together. And then it just makes it a lot easier and simpler. And yeah, and now we're just kind of, yeah, growing, escalating, and it's amazing. I think that I I don't need a business partner. I've done a lot, but I would like community. I like collaboration. That's what I've built my whole business around. So having a business partner, um, yeah, I really like it.
And it's also feeding into your core values, which is freedom, because you can leverage each other.
Yeah.
So I always love that as well. Joint ventures and collaborations for that sake. It's like I'm not having to compromise more of my energy to have that impact that I want. Like we can help each other. So that's really good. And also makes it so much more fun, which is essentially what it's about anyway.
So much more fun. And the girls were laughing at us in our mastermind this morning because I'd gone on there and wrote in like good morning in German, and Poppy was like, who are you?
Are you
So
okay?
yeah, that's exactly what she
You
wrote
okay,
up.
hon? Not had your coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, and the girls were like laughing at us, and they always say, oh, we love your energy and things like that. And I think, oh, I like that we're showing them what collaboration looks like, and then
Yeah.
they go and do joint ventures, not necessarily business. They don't go into business with each other, but they host trainings at each other's place salons, and they go on lives and everything that you should do when you're in a mastermind and stuff. So yeah, it's a really yeah, for want of being a bit cheesy, it's beautiful. Like I really enjoy watching it and doing that.
Yeah, and also it's a strategic like business move as well. Like why are you going to wait? So that's what I did intuitively, but probably because like yourself, I'm a people person, and I was used to like in-person networking events and realizing like I can convert people in a room because I just need to get hold of them and have a chat and then I'm good. So the
Yeah.
more that I could then, grow like my business through collaborations, like I'm just going to do that because that saves me so much more time. It doesn't rely on a social media presence. Like other people are helping me to grow my business. So I identified that straight away, particularly because obviously like I've got 5 kids. So I'm like the opposite end of your spectrum. I have no time and I have to be super intentional with it. So I would say like that's a great tip when somebody's looking to start out and they're looking for the quickest way to essentially like collapse time. I don't know if you love that phrase or not, or what time we were talking about this in LA, and it was like the levels of like we actually had a game called Bullshit Bingo, where it was like we kept joking with each other because we're like outside of this industry, a lot of what we say doesn't actually make sense.
No.
So if I said to my brother, I'm going to collapse time, he would be like, are you okay? So we would just like anytime like these things drop, we need to literally say like bullshit.
I've actually created a PDF for all of the girls in our group, like internet jargon and coaching
Yeah,
jargon, so that they
yeah,
actually know what things mean. Because that was something that I struggled with. Like
yeah,
I remember like Googling like high ticket, and I didn't even know what copy and stuff was.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you hear people like quantum leaps and
Yeah,
collapsing.
I was like, I'm just gonna quantum shift to the bar. Okay. See you later, girls. It is funny, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I think the more that you are in the world, the more people you follow, the more your Instagram and your social media show you things. So it just normalizes it, doesn't it? And
Yeah,
before you know it, you're saying all these things that you
yeah.
like, okay, this is like a whole other language. Like I need to go back into like my normal language to talk to my friends.
Well, I'm really gonna disown me otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so, so funny. But the good thing is like everything you're doing has got such a sense of like fun energy about it. Like it's absolutely just gonna be next level. So have you thought about like what is next for you?
So we've got our mastermind at the moment, which we're growing. We have got a group coaching program which we are just fiddling around with at the moment, which I think is going to be like our next main focus. There's probably going to be an event in Australia, maybe one in Dubai.
Ah, Oh God, is this still for lash artists? Like, do I still have to go back to that first?
Do you know what? It's for lash artists, but it's actually for business owners. Like our photographers messaged me. They were like, "You're." I mean, they might say it to everyone, to be honest with you, but like, you're one of our favorite events to do, probably because they're a group of lads and there's loads of women there.
Yeah,
But they also like learn loads
yeah,
because my thing is business. My thing isn't lashing anymore. I don't lash anymore. And the whole point for me was that there was such a hole for
yeah.
young girls that were learning application and trying to run a business and didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, don't know how to market themselves, build a brand. Yeah, definitely. I used to do this intuitively in the salon with the people coming in. I'm like, you are welcome to work here forever if you want to, but what would feel really good for me? And I think that's how you then extract like the bigger purpose of what you're meant to do. Intuitively, anybody coming through, I was still like, let's get you a profile, let's get you set up, let's build your own brand, let's you
Yeah.
build your commercial awareness, let's get you some commission, like, let's set you up as a good, well-rounded, confident individual. It's probably because they all looked about fucking 12. And I'm like, there's just that nurturer. So if God forbid, like I'm not here or you want to move on, I need to know that I've done everything that I can to support you to go out into the world and fend for yourself and,
Yeah.
represent yourself in the best possible way.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you, because like we were talking about earlier, collaboration, a lot of
Yeah.
people wouldn't do that. I mean, my cousin wouldn't have done that either
Yeah.
very much. Don't have your
Yeah.
own socials, don't want to know if you're doing clients outside of
Yeah.
out of work and things like that. So that's a really, yeah, hats off for creating that for people.
Do you know what's so interesting? I think it's because I had like a real devil wears Prada boss. So I did actually have an events background at one point, and I traveled the world and did all these incredible events and stuff with her. And she was brutal. Like she was so fucking awful. Like she totally like never be able to do any of the stuff that she did. She literally used to make me like watch me when we used to like be in like Dubai and stuff before Dubai was even a thing and doing conferences. She would watch me at breakfast like take my morning pill. Like I'm pretty sure you cannot do that now. She would literally like tell me if I could cut my hair. She would leave me like at the airport if I didn't keep up with her. Like she was brutal. She didn't like boyfriends. She didn't like distractions. She would be checking your socials to see if you've gone out at the weekend. But for me, it's like I really like obviously I don't advocate any of that behavior, but what I really did appreciate was the candid honesty, where it's
Yeah.
like, girl, if you want to be fucking reputable and have like be respected, because obviously I've always been like the youngest and well, probably not now, but at the time I was always the youngest. It's like if you actually want to be credible in any room, you have to walk in like you own the room. You cannot turn up looking like a bag of shit or hungover or talk to me about your weekend. Like you're here to work when you work. And I was like, do you know what? Actually, as much as it felt really like my soul at the time, I was like, she gave me such hard knocks lessons that meant that I collapsed time in my business because I always went in like, let's go. Like I was never there to piss about, and all of the other things. I always just treated everything like a business. And there's room for that, I think. Maybe in a more
Absolutely.
supportive way.
Yeah, just yeah, with a little bit of warmth.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something a lot of girls, so the beauty industry, the training aspect of it all has changed quite a lot over the last probably 7 years. And a lot of girls, they come in, they go and do a day course, and then they run a business.
Yeah.
And I, again, like I worked with my cousin, she was not hard on me. It wasn't like a devil's wear Prada, but there was a higher expectation. She wanted more from me. So she was always pushing me. And I think I look back now and I'm like, I wouldn't be the
Yeah.
person I am without all of that. And at times
Yeah.
it was uncomfortable, it was hard, and you think, oh, I don't want to do that, or like
Yeah.
let's like
But it builds that resilience, doesn't it?
yeah,
That is missing a lot as well, because when like I had like apprentices coming through in the barbers, and it was like they were getting Ubers every day and like takeaways every lunch. I was like, I am paying you too much if you can afford this. But like their parents would call in sick, and it would be like they're walking around in like designer trainers, and I'm like their parents almost like coddled them to the place where they don't need to work. This is like a hobby. They're not here to learn. They're not fully committed. They don't care if they sick and they don't get paid. So I was like, wow, where is like the fine line as a parent coming through that you're actually instilling some values into your kids so they can actually have a like something sustainable.
Absolutely. And I always laugh about this. You know, when you see all the girls and they've got all their lips done at like 19 and they've
Yeah.
got nails on and eyelashes, I think I probably earned about £1,000 a month. And most of that, I imagine, went on alcohol at that age.
Yes. Oh
I
my
didn't.
God. I look back at pictures that were from like disposable cameras, and I've still got like pigtails. Like, why did no one tell me? Like I was not perfectly manicured or anything. I was an absolute state, and I celebrate it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because let's be real, like you're never gonna look as good as what you did when you were 18 and 19. Your skin's never gonna be that amazing. Like
Yeah.
let's just enjoy that because
Yeah.
as you
Let's not
get
even talk
older.
about your boobs after you've breastfed 5 kids. Like, my God.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, it's all downhill from here, girl. So
Yeah.
enjoy what you've got.
Yeah. Eternal youth. It's not eternal after all. Although
No,
it can be in the beauty industry.
yeah,
But
it
I'd,
costs
I'd
you.
say we still look pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, so would you say then that there is that deeper, like what do you want your, it's a bit of a loaded question, might be a bit heavy for this time in the morning. I don't know if you've had lunch yet, but what do you want your legacy to be? Because I think when you're thinking then about your next steps, like quite often as entrepreneurs, we're like, oh, the next launch, like we're not really thinking beyond the next like cycle of business. And it's like actually what should be underpinning it all is like ultimately like what are we here to do? What's our mission? What's our purpose? What's the
Yeah.
legacy we want to leave?
Yeah, and I guess that's probably something that I probably never. I mean, I've got my vision and my mission and things like that, but as far as legacy, I've never really actually sat down and thought about it. But for me, I know I guess I have got one. I just want women of all ages to know that you can go and do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like, there's no constraints. You don't have to live by the rules of society if you don't want to. You get to have children, you get to not have children, you get to be a stay-at-home mum, you get to have an empire and be a mum. Like, whatever it is that a woman wants, like, we are so capable of it, and we are more capable of it than any man. And I think just women, I just want to empower women to be able to see that and go after it and do it.
Oh, that's so powerful. I was going to say, actually, even if you hadn't necessarily connected the dots, I was like, that's what I see for you. Like, you're absolutely leaving a legacy right now, just with all of the things that you're doing. You're essentially changing the game for all of the girls that are coming up in all of these industries. And then also, if you then sort of expand into business, um, just wow, what an incredible again, legacy that you're leaving for the women that are coming up, and that they're able to do it in ways that feel really fun, like they're seeing you living those values and embodying that every day with all of the actions that you're taking,
Yeah,
which is truly inspiring, because I think we're probably quite aligned in that. And maybe because we started our journey very much old school business, where
yeah,
it's like just about relationships and just about, not necessarily, you don't have to be friends with everybody, but just making connections, asking the questions, like all of those things that social media kind of took away. You
yeah,
know, a lot of people don't want to get into people's DMs and have a conversation. They would die if they were in a room or on a stage, or all of those things. And it's like that's what it's about. Like that's, it is that human connection, like you say.
definitely, definitely. And people say to me, they're like, wow, how have you got them? And I'm like, you just ask. Just, they're just a human. You just reached out to them. Like, what you are looking for, they are also looking for. Like, it's just about bringing people together and having connections. And everyone spends too much time on social media. Everyone wants to get out in person and speak to people. And just don't be
Yeah,
worried. Just
yeah,
don't
yeah.
be.
Well, yeah, that's it. What's the worst that's going to
Yeah,
happen? They're going to say no,
yeah,
thank you. And yeah, and also what I love as well is like your peer-to-peer retreat that you've got as well. That was really lovely. um
yeah.
so how did that come about? So that's obviously people that are like already in the same industries as you that are now coming together.
So if I'll be completely frank with you, it's been a pivot. So we provide retreats for our clients, and over the last couple of weeks, everyone's bailed bar one person. So Poppy and I were literally like, we've paid for a venue, we can get some kind of refund, but
That
that
doesn't
feels
feel
like
good.
it feels wasted.
Yeah.
What can we do? And Poppy probably came up with it. She said, why don't we host a peer retreat? And you know, when something's just like, yes.
Yeah.
So me being me, I literally made a list of lots of people and just sent loads of DMs out to people. I put it in our WhatsApp group, didn't I? And yeah, like I guess that's kind of me and my power, to be honest with you, bringing people
Yeah.
together. And
That's
everyone's
that's part of the generator energy, you know. You put something out and you wait for the universe to respond. And then when you get that feedback that's like, yeah, then you're like, yes, let's go, bitch, like we're ready. And
yeah,
I just think that that is really amazing, obviously from the values and everything else element, but also because as we were talking earlier about different seasons in your business, there'll be particularly if you're in it for the long haul, it's understanding that you need different things at different times. And sometimes it is, I need somebody like a one-to-one mentor that's going to handhold me through something. Sometimes you need like exposure to bigger rooms and bigger tables, and other times it's those depth of conversations. But also sometimes it's just I need to have a lot of fucking fun, and I need to have deep meaningful conversations with other women that get it. So can I just make a suggestion, please?
yeah.
Because I couldn't make this one. If we could make that part of your annual like schedule, that would be amazing, because again I would absolutely be there, because I think even as a mentor, like we're not meant to be the guru of all things. We're
No.
meant to be somebody's guide who supports them in uncovering the things that are already inside them. That doesn't have to be somebody who is above you or more successful or further on in that journey. That could be somebody who's in exactly the same position but sees you in a different light. So I really value the peer-to-peer mentorship element. I love it.
Yeah, and I think it was Hayley put in our WhatsApp group about this being the mastermind behind the mastermind.
Yeah.
And I connected with that so deeply. I was like, absolutely, because there is so much power in this. Yes, when you sign up to work with someone, it is incredible. You're working with them, you want what's inside their brain. But equally, as a collective group of women that are doing that, we've all got our own zones of genius. It's like it's super powerful. And yeah, I think it will be an annual thing. Yeah, one of the girls that's coming, she I thought of her as soon as, because I knew that she was searching for something, and she messaged me and she was like, I've been searching for this, I just couldn't articulate it, I didn't know what it was. Would you do it again? I was like, well, as long as this one goes well, absolutely. So I think that definitely it will be something that we'll try and no, not try, because that's rubbish language. We'll do. We'll do
Yeah.
annually for everyone.
Yeah, because the power of creating those containers and just getting people outside of their regular environment so they can think in different ways, they can be inspired by other, like actual parts of our brains are activated when we're in community. That was always the intention of the masterminds,
Yeah.
ironically. So I don't know if you know that, but typically, like a mastermind was created to bring peers together. It's not about one person being the guru, it's about everybody collectively, like activating different parts of people's brains. So you are essentially like the old school mastermind, which I am absolutely here for. So
Yeah, and I wrote that in a post actually yesterday. I was like, this is a mastermind in its truest and simplest form.
yeah, like most beautifulest form, like
Yeah,
literally. Maybe we could like I'm like, can we also maybe add in some like quarterly or monthly online sessions? That would be incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's definitely, yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
like
What
the Masons. Also, what I love as well, it's like strong female leadership that are influencing the industry. Because again, like as we live and embody these values, like we're setting the tone for everybody else coming through.
definitely. Yeah. So watch this space. It's
Yay!
coming.
Yay! I love it. Like we've made the legacy like here, and now we're like, okay, it's here.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Come on, universe.
Yay. Oh my God, I bloody love it. I'm so excited. Like already, like I put that on my thing, but I
You're
don't have
there.
any more capacity. Like literally. Oh God, I think I'd have to swap out a child. Like we were talking about earlier about creating space. I'd have to swap out a child to add this in. Um, I'm quite attached to them right now, so we'll see. It's fine.
Yeah,
Oh, well, thank you so, so much, Sophie. Like genuinely, this has been so amazing and so like so refreshing, but also like so heartwarming to know that there are incredible heart-led women like you that are just doing the thing from a place of like you don't even realize like what you're creating fully yet. Like I'm sure you will. Like we were talking about Daniela at Boss Babe. Did she realize as she went through that process what she was creating? Probably not, because you're in it. But I think at some point you're going to turn around and have a fuck me moment where you're like, oh my God, like I accidentally created this whole movement, this
Yeah.
legacy. I completely fucking changed the game. And all I was trying to do was just create a bit of freedom for myself. But here we
Yeah.
are. Like
Yeah.
it's so inspiring to be in your energy, to hear your journey, and also how you've just simplified it so much because it's accessible to everybody else. Like we all have a little part to play in the collective to create our own little legacy. Some will be bigger, some will be smaller, but we're all here to, like you say, do our own thing. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Like really, really, I feel really excited. Like cool.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Yeah, you've given me a lot of perspective and about things as well, just listening to you talk. So I appreciate that and I appreciate you for
Oh, thank you. So if anybody wants to find you, obviously I'll put all your details in the show notes, but is it I am Sophie Alexandra? Yeah, on
yeah, that's
Instagram.
fine.
Perfect. I'll put
Yeah.
everything in the show notes, ladies. So please make sure that you go over and find her because her page is literally just so inspiring and you've got so many incredible things. And I'm sure by this time next year, it's going to be a whole bigger list as well.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for today's episodes and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.